Welcome back. You're watching by yourself, and the markets are trying to come back into the green. Again, they slipped into the red, but it's a Tuesday and a day where we discuss mutual funds in Mutual Fund Watch.
Well, to discuss all possible investments that you may want to do in mutual funds and what are some of the options, what are some of those funds that you can look at. Anil Rego, CEO and founder of Right Horizons, joins us in the studio in Bangalore. Anil, first of all, the question that everyone's been talking about, 1st of August, we've had entry load being removed. How has that changed the world for maybe your company and indeed the industry?
Sure, I think it's a very interesting regulatory change. The government, I think, and SEBI basically has changed the rules there. I don't think it's so much going to mean that cost will come down. I want to watch maybe for after 6 months or so, and if that's something which is going to continue for some time. There's probably going to be a lot of chaos. For the first 6 months is what I'm saying. And I think some people may come back and say, let's have zero load. I think go back and see, okay, where is my profit going for the advisory organization, and then come back and say basically, let me come back to reality, and maybe I think over 6 months we'll start seeing some bit of stabilization coming in there.
All right, so perhaps in the interim, we expect at least the customers to rejoice if there is competitiveness and lower entry loads. I think few will complain. Let's start with our queries. We have an email coming in from Anish Sahai. He's a BPO employee in Noida. He says he has invested 50,000 rupees in ICICI Infrastructure Fund. Should I continue to stay invested? That's his question. Now, infrastructure space is one that has been buzzing quite a bit. Would you recommend that he hold on to his investment? We're not sure what was the NAV at which he purchased it. What's your outlook for infrastructure funds? Is this the better one amongst the entire lot? Because in many others like Kotak, like UTI, they have similar funds. Should he stay with this one? Should he look for a switch?
Sure. I think first of all, a lot of the infrastructure funds which did well, did well because they went out of a lot of the real estate companies and infrastructure companies when they had a fall. Okay, so I would think that going forward, maybe these are the companies which will do well. So we could probably search for funds which have a lot more infrastructure component out there. So I think partly maybe he can start booking profits. As I would expect him to have made money based on some of the data that you've given. And maybe move into funds like a Birla infrastructure, or I think even a HDFC may be interesting, considering that HDFC has a good expertise in that area.
Okay, that's the infrastructure sector. Clearly, one of the favorites for the market as well right now, given the way stocks have been running. Let's also take another question from Melina Fernandez, an investor in Delhi, and Melina wants to know, which is the best mid-cap fund to invest in with a 1 to 2 year outlook? Now, she's not mentioned whether she has put money or not, but among the funds that are right now actually open for investment, where can she possibly put in money? Anil?
Sure. I think there are a combination of funds which you can look at. Maybe Reliance Regular Savings Fund, popularly known as Reliance RSF. We can also look at maybe the Birla Sun Life Mid-Cap Fund. Sundaram Select Mid-Cap is another, I think, very interesting fund, and I think all of them have a very decent track record as well.
All right. So, specific stock, mutual fund ideas coming your way. Let's go up and take another SMS coming in from Ravi Sood, the sales manager in Mumbai. He wants to know, can I invest 50,000 rupees in Shinsei Industry Leaders Fund? Anil, this is amongst the new NFOs hitting the market. This is a fund house which is a new player, has little history behind it. Would you say it's a yes to subscribe? Would you say that he can subscribe to those which have already a history where you can judge them?
Sure. I think I would avoid some of these new funds till you actually see some bit of track record of some funds doing well. So I would prefer looking at fund houses which have some bit of a track record there, and instead of a fund like this, maybe look at some of the large cap funds, you have HDFC top 200, which can be interesting pick, and maybe a DSP, BlackRock, maybe top 100 fund.
Anil, given the interest, we've spoken about those small caps and maybe even mid caps as well, and also about the infrastructure funds. Given the kind of interest in the market and given the possibility of everyone talking of higher levels, what kind of ratio should an investor who's looking to enter fresh into the market apportion his portfolio so that he can maximize his return over the next, let's say, 12 to 24 months?
Sure. I think first of all, at times like this when market has already run up, it's too dangerous to enter lump sum. So I think what one can do is probably use a systematic transfer. Basically park it in a debt fund and then maybe even on a weekly basis transfer it back into equity. So it keeps averaging out there. So that probably would be one approach to take, and one could have a combination of maybe mid cap funds. I just mentioned a few of them, and as well as the large cap funds there.
So those looking to maybe start a systematic investment plan, kind of an investment, do you think it's still the right time to enter into that?
Yes, systematic is always, I think it's always the right time to invest. So I think one should never stop it irrespective of whether the market is at a high or at a low. So as long as you keep a 3 to 5 year perspective, I think it's a good idea to look at a systematic investment.
Right, Anil, if you can give us your top picks in ELSS and large cap equity funds.
Yeah, on the ELSS side, there are a lot of them we could look at. The HDFC has, the HDFC tax saver. You have the Franklin has its tax saver as well. The Sundaram tax saver is something which one can also look at. I think it's ideal to diversify across maybe 3 to 4 type of funds there, especially if the amounts are a little larger, because you don't know which are the funds which will do well in the future.
Right. Thanks so much for joining us, Anil. Pleasure having you with us on Buy or Sell to take in your views on mutual funds and ideas for our investors who want to invest in mutual funds. Thanks so much for joining us on Buy or Sell. So we wrap up Buy or Sell, but remember, tomorrow is a Wednesday. It's a day where we take up your F&O queries. We are starting a new series. So what should be the positions you should take? What should be the strategy that you should deploy? Send us your F&O queries. We will be taking them up on Buy or Sell on Wednesday.